So you filed a workers' compensation claim and you're wondering, can the insurance company hire an investigator and get film of you without you knowing about it? Generally, the answer is yes, they can. So there's a few things that factor into it. One, the investigator is going to have to be in a place where it's open access to the public. So the investigator can be out on a public street in front of your house. Investigator could be in a grocery store watching you pick up a bag of flour. Grocery store, or the investigator could be in Home Depot watching you pick up a bag of bark to put in your yard when you get home. Investigator could follow you down the street when you're driving through the neighborhood to see if you're able to drive a car. All of those things are generally fine. The investigator can be anywhere the public is allowed to be, anything that's open to the public. So where it gets more questionable is areas that are more secluded. So let's say investigator parks in front of your house, is getting film of you in the front yard, and then wants to get film of you in your backyard as well. Can they do that? I'd say it depends. Do you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your backyard? You say, well, it's my backyard. I don't have a fence and everybody can see in my backyard, but it's still my backyard. Nah, they can get film of you. You have no reasonable expectation of privacy if anyone who drives down the street can look in your backyard. You have a chain link fence to protect your backyard, to keep the dogs in, neighbors out. Still no reasonable expectation of privacy. Anyone that walks by can look in your backyard. You have a picket fence and there's some tiny, tiny little cracks between the wooden slats. And so the investigator is up there trying to look real carefully with a tiny camera. Now there's a problem. You have an expectation of privacy if that investigator is having to go a little bit farther, work harder to try to get around the fencing that's there. You have a cinder block fence around your backyard, so they put a camera up on a 10-foot pole and hold it up over the fence, or they hire a drone to hover over your backyard. Generally, you have an expectation of privacy because people can't see in your backyard at those points. So in the store, if you went to the gym, let's say, you're working out in the gym, pumping iron, you're doing your curls, they can get film of you doing that. There's no expectation of privacy when you're using a weight machine, when you're using dumbbells or barbells. But you go into the locker room to change clothes, even though that's open to the public, at least any members of the gym, to go into the locker room, you still have an expectation of privacy in there. So generally, they're not going to be able to get film of you changing clothes because there is an expectation of privacy. So that's the bottom line. The investigator can get film of you. He or she will have to be in a space open to the public, a grocery store, a public street, in a park, something along those lines. And the investigator can't violate your reasonable expectation of privacy. So if you reasonably believe you're in your bedroom, the blinds are all closed, but there's a tiny crack on the edge of one of the blinds, and the investigator is there trying to get a camera to bend around the corner to get film, you generally have an expectation of privacy there. So that would be a problem. If you found these videos helpful, hit the like button down below and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos.